Well, let me talk about a book really quick that I read, and I read Monica by Daniel Clowes. This is a very new book from Daniel or from Clowes that basically is a fictional story about a woman's life from before she was born, very slightly before she was born, to the day she dies, question mark. Like, it's kind of hard to interpret the end with that in mind. But Paul really loved this book. Paul was a regular on the show, so I had to pick this up, and I happened to be at Forbidden Planet when Kate and Brian were here, so I grabbed a copy of this and I finally sat down to read it. And yeah, this, like I said, this book kind of follows this fictional character named Monica, in significant moments in her life. It's like kind of a story where, like, if you asked for more explanation of all of the things going on in it, you'd almost be kind of bummed because life is very mundane. So the highlighted moments in this book of Monica's life are like the most interesting pieces of her life, and she even notes on that in the narration. So it's kind of like a very weird meta story of her life where she knows that something strange is going on. So a lot of odd things like religious cults and strange happenings with past lives, and maybe some, who knows, like supernatural things going on. You're not really entirely sure because she's not entirely sure. But yeah, Klaus takes you on this really bizarre journey as Monica's terribly too real life spirals from childhood to adulthood, kind of knocking against some truly odd but almost real moments where, like, we've all experienced weird things and coincidental things, and maybe you don't think about them too much, or maybe you think about them too much. And I really liked the way that Klaus took this idea and turned it into like someone kind of just telling their story of their life and all the odd things that happened to them that they could remember. And Monica frequently goes, I think this is how this happened, but my memory, I'm piecing together from when I was a little kid and what other people have told me. It's this really interesting thing that I feel like almost like it's like a documentary that ends in such a bizarre way. I like almost was expecting some exclamation of, this is why everything that I'm telling you is important, because this is a fictional comic book that somehow should tie up in an interesting way. And the final pages of this book slapped me in the face. I was so blown away by just the strange way that this entire book ended. And it is very eerie. It's very, like, kind of gives you chills in the last couple of pages. But the thing that really struck me about this book was there are some panels and pages of, like, really just incredible narrative, like, I don't know, like impactfulness that I felt. Like, some of the stuff that Monica says as she's describing and relating all of these strange things that happen in her life, are like, if you pull this out of context, like, this is an incredible life lesson that only someone who's lived many years on this world could really understand. And the way that he conveys it through Monica in relation to what's happening in the story is fantastic. But, like, I don't know, I really felt like there was some profoundness in a lot of this book through Monica's narration in reflection on her life that I thought was really good. So yeah, I don't know. This is a big book. It's really wild. It's in this style that is definitively Daniel Clowes, but very much feels like a style that I would only ever relate to Fantagraphics books at this point. That feels very like 50s and 60s, like high detail, very like intricate line work, with like a very flat color palette. And yeah, I don't know. This book is just fantastic. It's a really good read, and I tore through it in like one sitting just because I couldn't not find out what happened next to this character, because every chapter of this book is so bizarre, and you're like, how does this book keep going? Monica keeps getting older. I need to see how her life finishes. Like, it's I don't know, it's such a great read. So if you get a chance to grab this, I highly recommend it. It's a little pricey, like I said. It's a very big book, but it's totally worth the space on your shelf if you can get this, because it's a fantastic monster of a comic book, and I really liked it. So I don't know. I feel like you could say that about a lot of Klaus's work, but this one feels like the most surreal to me, which is maybe saying something.